Dr. Robert Bowman joins us for the balance of the hour. The Tarpley's going to pop back in to finish up with that economic breakdown in the first 5 minutes of the next hour. Robert M. Bowman is the former Director of Advanced Space Program Development for the U.S. Air Force, Star Wars program, and former United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel with 101 combat missions in Vietnam. He holds a Ph.D. in aeronautics and nuclear engineering. Actually has 3 of those from the California Institute of Technology. ThePatriots.us is his website, and he's traveling around the country with the Patriots speaking tour, trying to get the word out to Americans. This is a short segment, and I talked to you during the break. I said, what do you want to get into? The wars, the imploding economy? And you said absolutely both of those. Which one you want to tackle first? This new global strategic invasion using fake rebels that they then use as a pretext to take over? Or is that not your view? Or do you want to get into the economy?
Well, they're so closely related because we're in all of these wars to secure and maintain an empire for the multinational corporations and banks. It's all about empire. And it's not about the American people except to further impoverish us because we pay for it all. And the money is being siphoned up to the banks, to the billionaires. So it's hard to separate them. But this year's speaking tour really is about end of empire. We must no longer have puppet dictators around the world that we support with our troops and send them arms, which when they get a little independent, we have to send our troops to fight against them, as we have against so many of our former puppet dictators like Saddam Hussein and Noriega and you name it. But, we have to have a constitutional foreign and military policy. If you take a look at this document, it doesn't say anything in here about using our armed forces to go around the world and prop up the financial interests of multinational corporations and banks. It's about protecting our people and our borders, period. And if that was our military mission, if that was our only military mission, we could bring our troops home from those 700 bases around the world.
But they're always changing the definition because they're giving us false reasons of why they're in the countries. It's about occupation.
It's about occupation. And, I mean, why after 66 years are we still occupying Germany and Japan, for example? No, the whole thing is ridiculous, and we've got to stop it. We've got to go back to being just another sovereign, independent member of the family of nations. And when we do that, and when we bring our troops home, we can enormously enhance our national security and at the same time reduce the defense budget by 80%. Now, there's fiscal responsibility. There's money that we can use for crumbling roads and bridges and hospitals and schools and infrastructure. There's money we can use to take care of the elderly and the indigent, slash Medicare, slash Medicaid. These are the things both of those stupid parties are talking about now, and they're not talking about the obvious, which is to stop being the hired guns of global runaway capitalism.
Well, I mean, to even call it capitalism, I'm a total libertarian free market guy. Having trillions to banker bailouts, having trillions in corporate welfare, and there's no discussion about cutting that. And instead, it's cut the food stamps or cut the Medicare, the Medicaid, the Social Security, which will only stall the economy out more. I don't like the dependency. If you're going to have welfare, it should be at a state level, in my view. But obviously, this is the same model of austerity the same banking cartels have put in Argentina, Eastern Europe, and we know this leads to more poverty. This is their system of destroying their competition.
And this is exactly why we're in a lot of those countries. Take a look at the countries we've invaded, like Iraq, like Libya, and what you find with all of these countries, They happen to be the few countries in the world that are not part of the Rothschilds' banking cartel. They are independent of them. They do not take money from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. They print their own money like we're supposed to do under our Constitution. They print their money debt-free, and they use it to do what they want to do.
Dr. Bob Bowman, stay there. I want to come back to that. First thing they did within a week of the al-Qaeda rebels they put in Libya was a new central bank funded by the British and a new oil company. We'll be right back. Well, the former director of the Star Wars program is here. I want to get a little bit into Fukushima. Boy,
in the heart of FEMA region.
That thing is just continuing to get more and more serious as things unfold. We're going to get his take on that, more on the economy. But Dr. Bowman, looking at this, they've been telling us that we haven't had a recession in 2 years when it's a depression. And I've got the headlines here today where the public is saying the media is saying the public's not buying that the economy's great. The food stamps at 45 million, the unemployment, the housing prices plunging. A lot of the restaurants I like to go to over the years, they're all shutting down. All my family I know is making a lot less money, not doing well. Some of them doing terrible. People they know don't even have money for gas. And they're now in the media talking about $7 a gallon by next year because of the dollar. They're now admitting things are going up because of dollar devaluation. Mm-hmm. And their answer is give unlimited trillions to the bankers. But, again, go for austerity. And sure, there's some welfare moms. There's some waste. I don't like the illegals coming over with the anchor babies, and I got to pay for it. But at the end of the day, they're not the Federal Reserve System itself designed to transfer all wealth. We're now entering that final phase. I don't want to be like Argentina. I don't want them to win. We've got to identify them.
That's right. And when you get a country that is not part of that cartel, like Libya, they can do things. Libya has some oil over there. Not an enormous amount, but they've got oil. Gaddafi didn't let the oil companies steal it all and take all the profits like most of our puppets. He nationalized it. So the country of Libya gets the profits, and every Libyan person gets $500 a year or more directly out of the oil profits. Housing is free. Education is free. Healthcare is free. Every young couple, when they get married, gets $50,000 to start. Cars are subsidized. They're affordable. In other words, most of the ordinary people of Libya are pretty well off, very well off compared to almost everybody else in the Middle East. So why is this thing happening? Well, of course, the CIA is stirring up some opposition among the tribes that are against Libya's Pan-African program. And the reason that the CIA is stirring it up is because, number one, Gaddafi is not part of the Rothschilds banking cartel, and number two, he nationalized the oil companies. Those are the two cardinal sins. The same things that got Mossadegh in trouble, the same things that got Saddam Hussein in trouble. All of it comes down to the same thing. You can predict who we're going to call part of the axis of evil and who is going to be one of the good guys. I mean, why now are we not sending troops in to provide air cover for the protesters in Bahrain? You know, their leader is one of our puppets.
And it's so transparent, and then they call it humanitarian. We've got to invade. He's beating up protesters. He ran to Venezuela. It turned out that really wasn't true, the strafing of the crowds. But then meanwhile, our allies strafe people, and it's humanitarian. And we get the new Marine Corps documents and Army documents where they actually tell them in Afghanistan, go in and just kill everybody. I mean, these are serious war crimes being confirmed on a daily basis, and it's just like, so what? We're the good guys.
Yeah, well, we haven't really been the good guys for a long time, and it's about time that the American people understood what the politicians and the banksters are doing to this country and the immorality that they're foisting on our country through its policies. And it's time that our brave young men and women in the armed forces understood that they are not on a humanitarian mission, they're not being the good guys. They're working for the bad guys. They're part of empire.
But it's so elementary. Foreign, sophisticated corporations that work as pirate ships. People think of capitalist, communist. These are piratical criminal groups who come in with high-tech propaganda. They buy off politicians. They get laws passed to shut down their competition. They use our muscle and our funds and our blood to launch wars to take over, to give them Lebenstrau. And then we're left holding the bag, and world governments openly being announced, run by the very Ponzi scheme operating banks. And it's all out in the open, and then they write New York Magazine articles and Rolling Stone articles and Nightline pieces making fun of me when it's all just public, and I'm not even smart, Dr. Bowman, and it's just all history, prima facie, 100%, open and shut. There it is. They're perfecting a high-tech spy grid. They're training us to be slaves. The TSA hands down the pants, and it's just, anyone who knows any history knows this is coming on like a freight train. We've already been hit by it. And what do you do?
Speaking of history, guy you had on last, Webster Tarpley, knows more history than most people have forgotten. I mean, Webster and I stayed up one night. We were staying at the same home, and we stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning drinking wine and talking history. I mean, the guy is really amazing. And it's good to see.
A lot of people act like they know languages, but my wife grew up in Europe because her dad was a diplomat, and she speaks really 5 languages fluently, French, Spanish, I mean, you name it, Italian, and I've talked to other folks who speak languages well, and they say Tarpley's not fudging it. I mean, he knows all these languages, all this history. He's the real deal.
Yeah, he is indeed. When you and he were talking, the subject came up of a challenge of Obama. This is something that I've been trying to promote, and I've been trying to get Dennis Kucinich to do it. He's not going to do it. I've been trying to get some of the other big names to do it. They're not going to do it. If nobody else is going to do it, I'll do it, you know. But I don't have any money to do it, but that's another thing. Somebody has got to challenge Obama and put issues on the table that neither party is raising. Nobody is talking.
Because right now there's one party that just has some window dressing. I've told Republicans who hate Obama and dislike his policies, I've told them, if you actually analyze what Obama has really done versus the rhetoric, you guys should love him. Wars, torture, bailouts to the bankers, secret arrest.
He's continued everything Bush started. He's Bush light. And in some cases, he's even extended them. But, you know, war criminal, what Obama has done in continuing these wars, we can make a good case for him being charged with war crimes. But George W. Bush started the damn things, started them on the basis of lies. I mean, that's real war crime.
And he writes books bragging how he ordered torture, but when his people got caught, scores went to prison, and then he brags about it.
Yeah. The American people have to wake up and understand that things aren't going to be solved by just electing Republicans or just electing Democrats. Both parties are owned by the same powerful billionaires, the global elite, the banksters, the multinational corporations. And until the American people understand that, and understand that we have to change the system, that we have to get big money out of politics, and once again have representatives in Congress that really represent us, not the big money interests that line their pockets. Until that, nothing really is going to get done. There's only a couple of people in Washington who understand this, people like Dennis Kucinich and Ron Paul. If I could get a fusion ticket of those two and say, screw the Republicans, screw the Democrats, we'd really have something, because those are a couple of people at the opposite ends of the political spectrum who understand, who want to follow the Constitution, who want to honor the truth, and who want to serve the people. That's what we need.